Hello, welcome to today's HR Huddle. Hello, Jen.
Hi there.
And we have a special guest with us today, Bill Pirolli, who's the AICPA Chairman, and he's a partner with DeSanto Priest. And we're happy to have you with us, Bill. Thank you for joining us today.
It's great to be here. Hello, everyone.
So we're going to take a few minutes today, and we thought, as we were looking at the different topics, and Bill's been traveling around to talking to firms, doing a lot of Zoom meetings with firm leaders and conferences. One of the topics that I know has been so important is developing the talent pipeline. And Bill, I know that's something that's near and dear to your heart, and also something you're working with firms on. It's a big initiative of the AICPA. So maybe you want to set us up for what you're seeing, and then we can kind of explore maybe some strategies or things that we're seeing some success with what firms are doing, and go from there.
Sure. Yeah, it is absolutely the number one topic everywhere I go. And when you put it together with capacity, the two are one and two. There's no question, because we're blessed as a profession. We have more work than we can handle right now, and even looking forward to the future. The future is bright in terms of demand, and the people issue has always been an acute issue in the profession, but now it's front and center with everyone. And a couple of things driving it. Obviously, last year, 560,000 students chose not to go to school last year in college.
Wow.
It's a huge number. It was a 13% decline in 2020. 2021, we're still waiting for the statistics, but it doesn't look much better. So we will have, and we'll share in that, obviously, in our accounting programs, but we will have this donut hole that will follow us through, and we need to get on that right away to try to backfill that hole, because if not, whoever's on this program 10 years from now, the only thing they'll be saying is, I can't find anyone with 5 years of experience. And it's because of this, lack of people who just chose not to go to school. Not that they went virtually, they just passed completely. And a lot of that was at the community college level. Not all schools, found that was the case, but universally, that's what's going on. So we have to work on that. And then we're fighting the war of a number of students majoring in accounting, and then the number of students taking the CPA exam. And that we've been sort of losing that percentage war over the last 5 or 6 years. We were doing very, very well into the mid 2000s. It had risen to record levels. We fully expected a small drop off in accounting majors, but right now we need people to take the exam and come into the accounting profession. So that's really top of mind. Every state society is working on it. The AICPA, Sue Coffey's team, is refreshing all of our materials, looking at it on an in-house basis, and trying to get back to how do we drive the pipeline. So awesome. I'd like to know what you folks are seeing out there in firms and what they're saying.
Well, same. I mean, I think firms are mostly right now focused on capacity, Bill. Right. So they're focused on, right here, October 11th, all they can think of is finishing up the second busy season, in both on the tax and audit side. Right. But, so they're focused on capacity, but not pipeline, where you're talking about, they're thinking, how many first years do we have, and how many lateral hires can we get, and that sort of thing. And they're not thinking, wow, we've got to make sure that we take responsibility in our marketplaces to drive folks to the universities and to the community colleges to study accounting, or we're not going to have any people at all, in that middle tier.
I agree, Jen. That's exactly the message I'm giving to the profession, is that really they have to own this on a grassroots level. Certainly the AICPA and state societies and everybody else will contribute everything that we can, but we're the storytellers. We have to get back out into high schools, get into community colleges. And as you said, we have to sell into the profession as hard as we recruit into our firms. And we tend to go to high schools. We don't go to high schools, but we tend to go to colleges just to recruit. We're not spending enough time on career days in high schools and, community colleges. I'm the product of a community college, and they are, in many cases, they're redlined. and firms won't look at anybody that came from a community college, and they ought to be thinking a little bit differently. Can you imagine how powerful it would be if you went to a community college and put that person into some type of apprenticeship program coming into your firm, help them get the next 2 years and the exam? That would be an employee for life. But this is a long-term play. There isn't a single lever we can pull to make pipeline go up. Right? It's very, very complicated. There's a lot of drivers to it, and everybody's looking for the quick fix. And there are some. Everybody's got their hot button that they want to pull on to say, if you just do this one thing, it'll cure the pipeline. But that's really not the case at all. And it's very comprehensive and it's very complicated.
Well, and I think that whole community college idea is smart, because you miss a whole group of people by not looking at the community colleges. And many of those people go on to a 4-year college afterwards. I mean, we're just seeing that more and more. And if you don't go educate people about a career path in accounting and what that looks like, and they make up its taxes or its bookkeeping,
right?
They don't understand. You just said storyteller. Like, there's a great story right now in public accounting, and we need to be going and telling it sooner. And that's a great place to do that.
Yes, it is. And again, coming out of a community college myself, I would not be here if it wasn't for my accounting professor in the second year of community college. Literally took my hand and dragged me into the profession. And 40 plus years later, it's been phenomenal, just an amazing profession. But what happens is that 30% of high school graduates go to college undeclared. And when you talk to the professors, 100% of them go undecided. Right? They may have declared something, but they don't really know, because 75% change their major at least once or twice. So we have a lot of bites at the apples. We can, educate them in high school as to what accounting is, and then look at those freshmen and sophomore, because, as you said, that's when they're making that decision about what the last 2 years are going to look like. So we have a lot of opportunities to work with different organizations and really tell that story into the profession.
So there's, a story I wanted to make sure to share with you, Bill, and I don't have permission to give the firm's name. I wasn't smart enough to think about getting that permission before this conversation, but I went to their office in New York City, and they had a wall of these adorable little kid pictures.
Right.
I was like, wow, those are so cute. Elementary school, obviously, who are those from? And they said, oh, well, those are from the elementary schools we sponsor. We go into inner city elementary schools, and we mentor and we color with the kids, and we tell them about careers in accounting, and we serve as examples of what's possible
right.
for them. And and that was like, I don't know, 7 years ago or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, these people are brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I loved it because, in the profession, we're give back people. This is a give back profession. And so I know it sounds self-serving when you and I, Bill, say, get in there and sell the accounting as a profession with all your heart. It sounds a little self-serving, but there's also like this whole personal responsibility that we have to go into elementary schools, junior high schools, community colleges, technical schools, all of those places, and say, hey, we have a profession that has all kinds of pathways,
right,
and offers all sorts of opportunity right now with high demand and low supply. This is a place where you could really make your own way. And we want a more diverse profession. We should be going out and thinking differently about how we do things. And we can't say the AICPA needs to do more advertising and that'll solve it. We've all heard it, I know, and so I had to say it. I mean, I had to raise the objection because
saying that out loud. I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, it had to be said because that's one of the things that I think crosses everyone's mind. Use all our dues money to pay for a couple ads and the whole supply problem will be solved. And it isn't that easy. We have competitors for this supply, but we also, we're sort of like, I hate to say this, but sort of like a one-trick pony in recruiting. We only know how to do it one way, and it's gotten us a very non-diverse workforce.
Right.
And frankly, as supplies dried up, we've got to learn new tricks. We've got to try new things.
That's right. And I love your example, because that's exactly what I'll do. I'll challenge firms. They'll look at me and say, what's the AICPA doing about pipeline? And I say, what are you doing about pipeline in your firm? So, and there's so many ways to do it. You have organizations like Junior Achievement and DACA. They're already out there doing it. You can partner with them, create scholarships, really short dollars, create high schools scholarships for kids that go into accounting, and create those scholarships to help them get all the way through and into the CPA exam. So at least you'll be known on campus for something other than the firm that just shows up, in the fall to hire people, right? In the fourth year. So there's a lot of things that can be done, but, economics is a big part of this. We have, on the front end, the cost of higher education in and of itself has gone up dramatically. I think I have a slide here. Since 1980, inflation has gone up 260%, but the cost of college has gone up 1,200%. So we get that on the front end, but the economics coming out of the profession, people are looking at the ROI. And to your point, we have a lot of competition that we've never had before. We never worried about investment bankers, private equity firms.
Technology.
Yeah. Well, technology's been around, but things like data analysts, they didn't exist 10 years ago.
Right.
But now this is where the money is flowing. So firms have to take a good hard look at what their starting salaries are and how quickly they're advancing through the profession. We know long term, and you folks know this better than anybody, that being a CPA and being in practice, you can earn way more than somebody who is not. And there are no unemployed CPAs in the country, never have been. So that story needs to get told, but that's not what they're looking at. They're looking at starting salaries that are maybe $30,000 or $40,000 higher. And you see, private equity and investment banking coming into firms and making offers that are just crazy. And why wouldn't they take it at that point in time? So there needs to be some adjustment going on to keep the talent that we already have. And likewise, a big adjustment to try to attract talent into the profession.
Well, and I think one of the things that needs to happen is assigning an owner to the talent pipeline in the firms. There's a whole bunch of possible, strategies and initiatives they could engage in. And otherwise it's like, yeah, that's a great idea. We should do that. And it is way down the list.
Right.
So if we assign somebody and say you own it, doesn't mean you're going to be the one that's going to go to the elementary school or that you're the one that's going to go to career day, but you can find the resources.
Right.
And you can find the people and assign it.
Yeah. To your point, we have to have the right people, right? We can't send me to the elementary school. That doesn't work, right? We have to take those, 1 and 2 year success stories that we have in our firm, those superstars, send them back to their high schools, send them to the elementary schools to tell the story, and then take those 5 and 6 year people who have really just advanced through the profession and they're on that rocket ship, and send them back to talk to the freshmen and the sophomores and try to grab them into the profession that way. So it's not about what you do. It's also about who does it. That's a big influencer on it.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's easy for firms to feel a little, they're overwhelmed. We're talking to HR professionals on this, sometimes firm leaders and anybody else we catch in the feed later. They may feel like, man, where do we start? Or we have no proactive time or that sort of thing. And so we have to start somewhere. We have to pick something. I do think one of the key messages, Bill, that I don't know that everybody's really gotten this bluntly, and I know you can appreciate that I'll say it bluntly, we're 100% responsible for the success of this profession, each of us individually that is a part of it, 100% responsible as individuals, not just as firms and not just as a body of members. And we've got to think, what's my one thing that's going to attract people to this retention? I'll tell you, complaining about it won't. By the way, and acting, like it's whipping your tail end all the time. That's probably, yes, exactly. That's probably not going to do it either. Now, we've also seen firms host, high school bus tours over to the firm office after COVID, after our pandemic passes fully and we're comfortable socializing again. Offering people to bring their high school accounting or finance or business classes over to the firm, or bringing young recent graduates into the high schools to talk about the work that they do, the clients that they work on. Examples or case studies are always super appreciated by high school teachers. So there's a lot we could do at that level to really try to snag them into declaring accounting as their first major as they come in, and hopefully their only major as we get them in school.
Yeah, I just call it the power of one. Literally, if everybody just went out and just held one person's hand into this profession, you can imagine what would happen. And that's really as grassroots as it needs to be. Everybody needs to go out and think about what their responsibility is to the profession. To your point, to me, I've always considered my responsibility to my firm and to the profession to be fiduciary. I mean, I'm paying it forward. It's been very good to me. I have to make sure that it goes on for another 100 years. And that's really how I've always looked at it. So you have to have that long-term play, that long-term vision to get your people involved in this. And I get it. I'm a partner in a firm. I understand there's little bandwidth, but I also, I grow weary sometimes of hearing people say, we can't do this, we can't compete. Of course you can. You're just not doing it, right? Or they're trying to do it all the wrong way. Bring somebody in from the outside, right? Go get someone who's studying HR as a field and have them come in to your firm and help your HR department do this. Just hoisting it on top of what everybody else has to do will not work. And it's really small dollars. It really is. And people are out and about anyway. So I think it's something that we need to look at and really, as you said, just start. If you do one thing, just start.
I love it. I love this message.
Well,
Tamera,
and I think, I was going to say, that I was just listening to you guys talk, and we've been talking about the story. And I think that's something important to, really define, and get clear about what is our message in our story. Right. And the young folks today, what are they excited about? Technology. They're excited about, data analytics. They're excited about, how computerized we are. They're excited about apps. They're right. excited about bots. They're excited, about all of these things that are really, taking hold and, required now in accounting. And if we talk about those things and how are we using those things and what does it give us with clients and, how can you be engaged in it? I think that, is a way to, hook them. And we might not be leading from that kind of message. We might be leading from a more traditional message, and so I think that's important also to say, what is our message about the accounting profession? Why is it so great today? And what are we doing in our firm about it?
Well, to that end, I've also, met with the folks at CPA.com, and, they own all the cool tools. I mean, that represents the technology in the profession, and some of the things they are doing, like our DAS project, reinventing the audit in a completely 100% digital way, using bots and AI. Those are the things we need to be talking about. So I'm bringing CPA.com into the fight, and I'm also looking at PCPS, and where else do all these resources lie? Okay, to get people excited about the profession, because it's not the same profession that it was even 10 years ago. The opportunity is incredible. And, all the different pathways that you can take, just public versus private, right? And then you get into public, and that breaks down in 10, 15 different ways. So again, it's all messaging, and but it's the effort as well. We have to get out and put the effort in.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, and I just put a potential story out there for us to think about. I typed it into the comments, so it'll follow this live feed, and other people can add to it or change it or whatever. But I wrote a lifetime profession where there is no unemployment, coming off your idea, Bill, there, where clients have many needs, where we can take many pathways, where we have wonderful flexibility, where we can use technology to work smarter and better, and where you can make an amazing living and make a big difference too.
Right.
And that's the truth of it. There's no hype in that. There's not one single bit of stretching on that description. And who wouldn't want their child to pursue a career like that?
Yeah, and we're enjoying such tremendous rise in reputation outside of the profession. But think
Yes.
about what we've done with PPP,
Oh, yes.
saving small business. We're
Sure.
well known in government. We're well known in business, and that's not translating. That reputation is not translating to the students, and we need to bridge that gap and show them what we do. And to your point, if we can get through the last 18 months and the changes that we have had to put into place literally overnight, we've proven that change can come quickly, and you can do it, and it doesn't work the first time. I think as a profession, we sometimes want to get it perfect. So one of my friends, Sheila Enriquez, you may know Sheila, she's a managing partner at a large firm in Texas, and she said, Bill, if you gave me 2 years to put together a work from home strategy, we would have formed 6 committees and it would have never gotten done. We did it in 30 days. Exactly. So let's take that momentum, that proven ability to implement change, and keep carrying it in the firm, because it's not just one thing. Just getting more people into the profession and continuing to do exactly what we do every single day is not going to work, right? We have to think differently about our business models and the service offerings and who we're representing and all the things that we're doing that tie to that.
I love it. Well, Bill, thank you so much for coming and sharing your passion, not only for developing the pipeline, but also for the profession. I just, it's awesome. And we appreciate you spending a few minutes with us and sharing that with HR leaders here and other leaders in firms. Yep. So if you have any thoughts, you can always reach out to us in social media. You can comment here. And we look forward to seeing you next week on our next HR Huddle. And thank you again, Bill.
All right.
Yeah,
thanks for having me, my good friend. Profession. Thanks so much.
Yes, we're really grateful to you. Thank you.
Thanks.